Should be grateful for the opportunity. She'd have more to do than just sit around feeling sorry for herself. And how hard could it be to put out a weekly newspaper? After all the years in New York as a reporter, she knew the mechanics, and she sure didn't think she'd have to worry about any late-breaking news around here, of either the personal or professional kind. As she followed her parents out the front door, her heel caught on the metal threshold and she tipped forward. "Careful!" Dennis caught her by the elbow. "Darlin', you've been in New York for too long." He dropped his gaze to her high heels, frowning. "You need to put those stilts away or you'll break your fool neck. Around here, women wear stilts in court or on a date, not to work." She grimaced. "And still chauvinistic, too, I see." "Around here, we come to work in jeans and boots," he grinned. "What about the ones you dug out of your closet?" She made a face. "They're older than dirt and look like it. But don't worry, Daddy. I'll take care of it first thing." The heels not only gave her much-needed extra height, but were also part of her professional persona. She had to keep reminding herself, though, that what was professional in New York wouldn't work here, except, of course, for special occasions. "You all go on now. Get on the road." She stood on the sidewalk, watching as they pulled away, her emotions a swirling mixture. On the one hand, she was glad they had the opportunity to do what they wanted. On the other, she had just returned home and had hoped to have more time with them. "Suck it up, kiddo. Be happy for them and get your own life on track." Inside, she nodded to Sheila Bradbury, who was back at the front counter. The woman was the general everything in the office. Receptionist, secretary, writer of obits and classifieds, and anything else that fell on her desk. She was the linchpin that held the newspaper together, and Jinx planned to take full advantage of her. She wound through the desks to her dad's office. No, her office, and dropped into the chair her father had occupied for years. Staring at the screensaver on her computer, she wondered if she was out of her mind. No one had ever been able to understand why she took off for New York as soon as she graduated college. But the printer's ink in her blood had told her that was where the action was. Her road to fame and glory. And for a while, after cutting her teeth on neighborhood newspapers and small magazines, it had been. She'd finally gotten a job with one of the top wire services, her life filled with deadlines, and Max. Oh yeah, Max. Gorgeous Max. Hotshot sports reporter. Darling of the sports world and of many, many women. Several of them after she and Max were married. And in their bed. The worst part was he'd become so enamored of himself, he didn't even understand why she was so upset. He'd argued with her about the divorce right up until the day she'd bid him adios, had a truck pick up all her belongings while he was out, and flown to Nevada. 6 weeks there in a motel to establish residence, and she had her divorce. And Max was out of her life for good. She figured he was pretty busy with his harem since he'd never bothered to track her down after that. Good riddance. But the whole ugly episode had dealt a blow to her self-esteem and sent her running from the New York high life to the quiet life of the Texas Hill Country. Sanctuary that, she told herself, she badly needed. But now she had to decide what to do with the rest of her life. Taking over the newspaper would work for now, but she couldn't see herself doing it forever. She just didn't see what she'd be doing after that. Pushing those thoughts aside, she turned to her computer and was about to pull up the next week's schedule when a familiar voice made her look up. Amy Stark Montgomery stood in her doorway, grinning at her. "Jinx!" The petite brunette threw her arms around her in a big hug. "I heard you were back, but you've been hiding in that big old house of your parents. What's up with that?" Jinx hugged her back. Amy had been 2 years behind her in school, but in a county where one high school served everyone, the age lines became blurred. Although the two of them had never been close friends, they'd been friendly. For a while, Jinx had even had a crush on Amy's older brother, Matt. "Hi, Amy." She studied the radiant younger woman. "I have to say, marriage agrees with you." "You bet." Amy flashed her dimples. "Wait until you meet my hunk." Then her face sobered. "I wanted to call you, but your mother passed the word you really wanted some time to yourself. You doing okay?" Jinx shrugged. As well as someone who found her husband in the sack testing the new king-sized marriage bed with not one but 2 other women. "Oh."